Live. We're live again here. I'm sorry, we had a couple of streaming errors, if you want to call it that. Go ahead, Roger. Continue. Unfortunately, some of that got lost.
So the gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, who ran for president on the platform of hope and change you can count on, has indeed provided the change you can count on, and that is he has turned this from a republic into a dictatorship, because each and every law that we have discussed up till this point, being the ability to assassinate us, the ability to throw us in prison forever without a trial, curtailing our freedom of speech, curtailing our freedom of religion, curtailing our ability to demonstrate. All of these things lead to only one thing, that is centralized power in the hands of one individual. That, my friends, if you go to the dictionary and look it up, you will find the word dictator. And I would be very surprised if you didn't find a picture of our friend right under the definition.
And you know something? And again, he's a puppet dictator, which is absolutely atypical. All these other banana republics have puppet dictators, and then they end up, of course, being killed, like Gaddafi, and all these others. Oh my God! Once they serve their purpose, the Shah of Iran. We can keep going. How many? There's many of them.
Obama's another one that is just he's doing what he's told. And whatever that Obama's going to pass next month was already probably voted 2 years ago in the Bilderberg meeting, and
yeah, exactly. He's just executing protocol. You know that, Roger. Come on.
Well, I'll tell you what I do know.
But of course, he's totally illegitimate, and they're criminals. But I mean, we have to figure out, how do we stop this whole Borg from happening? I mean,
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. It's critical mass.
Yep.
And I'm going to define critical mass one more time, because I know I've done it on your show before, but it was quite a while ago. Critical mass is defined as the point where we have enough unified voices that they can no longer ignore us. We are reaching a critical mass in this country, and We the People Network is accumulating a critical mass. An organization like this 5 years ago we would still be at 1 million or 1.5 million people 10 months after we started it. This organization is barely 10 months old, and we count our voices close to 20 million people, and our media reach could be as high as 100 million people over the course of a week. None of this could have happened in 10 months 5 years ago.
Definitely.
Can it happen now? No, actually, it is happening now.
It is happening. That's exactly the key. It really is, Roger. But you know something? They attack us. Look what they just did. Now, for those that are watching, I'm sorry, I apologize for the breaks in those streams, but I don't know if you can just cognitively realize, without us bringing it too much light or illuminating the fact that it seems to be, once we started talking about certain subjects, and this happens a lot for anyone that's a regular listener or viewer, that there's some sort of interference with our internet connection at that moment, which I never have any problems with my internet. Ever. So, it's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're being paranoid, but it does happen. And you know what?
How many times?
I couldn't. Roger, we couldn't count. I mean, I could do an entire 3-hour show almost on it. We had let's talk about just screwing with the Skype signal. That was the first thing they did with us, screwing with the Skype. Then they fried my camera. When Barbara Hartwell was on, fried my high-def camera, which I used to double up the shows with, but now I'm too afraid to do that, with any other camera. So because I had $29
I don't blame
camera.
you. I don't
$29 camera, they fry that. All
I
right,
remember you were like, bring your camera, and I was like, I don't know now.
Yeah, and then many attacks. Then, of course, we had the literal neurological weapon that they hit on me, where they made me, I thought I was having a TIA on air. I couldn't think. It's just endless. It just goes on and on. So, goddamn you, the hell with you. We're moving on. Freedom and liberty. One man has nothing to do with it. It's not about Roger. It's not about Vinny. It's not about me.
That's right.
But united, we cannot be stopped. In other words, if we could get 100,000 voices a day, that would be voices like we have, the millions of voices, then anything is possible. There must be 100.
Right.
I mean, if you talk about the mathematics, I figured it out in my head a little before the show. You're probably averaging 100,000 people a day, Roger.
If you
day.
spread it out, it's well over 50,000 a day if you average it out. Yeah.
My figures came to 100,000 a day, but again, I'm bad in math. I did sort of fail math in high school, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let me take this a little bit further, and then I'm going to have to jump off because I have another commitment in about 10 minutes. But let me take this one step further, okay?
Yeah, sure.
There are approximately 1,000 lawmakers in Washington making our laws, or appointees. There are approximately 500,000 armed and combat-ready troops in our military, most of them being overseas at this time. There are approximately, if you combine all of the militaries, probably no more than 2 million people in the military total. There are approximately no more than 200,000 peace officers across the country. Now, let's figure what can possibly stand up against that force. There are 325 million voices in this country. If we get pissed, if we decide we've had enough and we're going to push back, not if, when, and it is already happening, nothing can stand in front of the voice of we the people. We are unstoppable. You just need to wake up and realize these people are taking your life away piece by piece. You are going from being a patriotic and free individual to being a slave. And you're
Exactly.
and you're not even aware of it. Wake
exactly. You're
the fuck
sleeping.
up.
It's terrible. Roger, you know that you are like the most dedicated person I know, and I thank you for all you do, and thank you for joining us today. I know you got another show to do, and you only have minutes literally between things you do, and nobody realizes how much effort and what it takes to do what Roger does. But he'll always take my call. I swear to God, if I call Roger Landry, no matter what time of day it is, he'll take my call, except if he's sleeping. Which is only
then,
four.
if the phone
It's a
rings, I'll
4-hour
wake
window.
up.
It's only a 4-hour window, Roger, because he only sleep
All
about
right,
4
guys.
hours.
Hey, thank you very much, Vinny. It's
Hey,
always good to hear from you, sir. Always.
Vinny's
and Howard,
offset right now, but he's calling out to you and saying yes, he'll be back, and we're gonna have him back on the shows with the Skype video and coming in the next shows. So I'm happy about that. Thanks, Raj.
Great. All right, you guys take care, and I look forward to the next time we get to talk. And I look forward to your participation in the network, Howard. I think that just gave us a big boost in both intellect and capability.
Well, thank you, Roger. And I tell you, you had mentioned somebody that I should be just thinking about or talking about, or something that came to mind about a judge or something. What was that? What was that?
Judge Napolitano?
Oh, Judge Napolitano. Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah, I actually do. So I figured we should make a quick intro comment.
I'm going to push the envelope here and hang around for a few minutes until that's done.
Well, of course. Let's do that, because I figured you had about 7 minutes, and I'd give you a little preamble. I'm getting good at this thing. All right. God bless you, man. Yeah, go. What were you going to say? Oh, give a little. I got time. Go ahead.
My absolute favorite Judge Napolitano, and it is his last broadcast. And everybody who has not heard it needs to hear it. And anybody who has heard it, listen to it again and learn just a little bit more from it.
Yes. Thank you, my brother. Stick around and listen to it. Watch it, listen to it. And if you want to comment after it, you're welcome, because we'll be taking a break at the top of the hour just about when you're leaving. So here we go.
Okay.
What? Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
All right, we're rolling.
Does the government work for us, or do we work for the government? Is the best government really the one that governs the least? Can we ever have a government that stays within the confines of the Constitution? If the Constitution was written to keep the government off the people's backs, why is the government all over us? Tonight, whatever happened to freedom? Understanding where we go from here should start with understanding how we got here. We are the free and independent people of the United States of America. We are free because those who preceded us fought a war against a person who was then the world's grandest king and who presided over what was then the world's grandest empire. The Founding Fathers risked, as they like to tell us, their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors for the freedom and independence they won and we have inherited. But they were not saints. And initially, their cause was not popular. From the records available today, the people who measure historical trends have concluded that in 1776, only about 1/3 of Americans supported the revolution. About 1/3 of Americans opposed it. And about 1/3 of them didn't care. When I first looked at these numbers, I thought, in 1776, this was the grandest fight for the greatest amount of freedom for the most people at any point in history. So who could possibly oppose it? And who in their right mind could not care? Fast forward to today and ask, who could possibly support a government that regulates everything, from the strength of the water pressure in your shower, to the size of the toilet bowl in your home, to the thickness of the leather in your shoes? Who could want a government that punishes people for speech, that lets its own agents write their own search warrants, that fights wars just to keep the military-industrial complex busy, that debases all you own by printing worthless money and putting it into the stream of commerce, that gives away more than half the tax dollars it collects, and that, despite express provisions in the Constitution to the contrary, permits the president to lock up whoever he wants and to throw away the key? Perhaps the colonists who didn't care if they freely chose their government or were cared for by a benevolent tyrant had an odd way of knowing what was coming. Perhaps those who opposed the revolution were afraid to take on the king, to challenge authority, and to risk their comfortable lives for the unknown. Well, we all know what happened. A relatively small part of the population pushed the culture and society toward freedom. And the freedoms that they chose were pure. I mean, after we won the revolution and wrote the Constitution, the new government and the political class assured all Americans that they could think as they wished and say what they thought and publish what they said, that they could associate or not associate with anyone. They could worship as they chose or choose not to worship. They could defend themselves with guns even against tyrants. That troops would never enter their homes, that only neutral judges would issue search warrants, and that the government could not take their lives, their freedom, or their property without a trial, at which their fault would be proven in front of a neutral jury. All this was guaranteed to the first generation of Americans and to their posterity. That would be us. Because much of it is absolutely unbelievable. Denied them by the king and the parliament.
Stick around for some
because Americans came to believe, even the 1/3 that were afraid and the 1/3 that didn't care.
God bless you, man.
But these rights are ours.
We the people. We the people network.
Whether you believe that we are the highest order of natural selection, or whether you believe, as I do, that we were created by God in his image and likeness, you know in your heart that these natural yearnings, as St. Thomas Aquinas and Thomas Jefferson called them, are our natural rights, are a part of our humanity, and cannot long be denied us. And yet, they have been denied. The same founding fathers who wrote that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, in fact, enacted the Alien and Sedition Acts, which punished speech that was critical of them, critical of the government. This happened because people were afraid to challenge the tyranny of the majority. America, the greatest losses to our freedom have come not from someone attacking us, but from the government ignoring the Constitution and the majority letting them get away with it. The worst amendments to the Constitution were not those ratified by the states, but rather were amendments by consensus, where all three branches of government agreed to look the other way. When good people do nothing, bad things happen. So what shall we do? We should challenge authority, no matter who is in charge. We should challenge the majority whenever it curtails anybody's freedom. We should side with freedom, no matter what the government says. We should vote out of office those who push the government outside the Constitution, no matter what earmarks they just brought home. And we should make the government afraid of us. Afraid of us. Because as Jefferson reminded us, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there is liberty. From New York, defending freedom, everybody's freedom, whenever I can. So long, America.
Wow, that was definitely like was a Mr. Beale from the network type of moment. Going out, you know, saying what he had to say. That was really good.
Speaking of Howard Beale, why don't we have fun today? Why don't we play a bunch of videos and talk about Howard Beale?
Yeah.
You talk a little bit, Vinny, and I'll find some Howard Beale. That's an easy one to find.
Yeah, I like also what he was talking about, the Thomas Jefferson quotes. Great, love him, know that stuff too. I was mentioning to you off the mic about how studying a lot. Where I'm at for the listeners is I'm all the way upstate New York is where I've been, and I was telling him while I've been there, you can't help but notice all the Masonic stuff and also early history for the founding fathers. George Washington and a lot of people were going up the Hudson River. The Hudson River was so big for the war. The British were going right up the Hudson River. That's where West Point, everyone knows about West Point. West Point was put right there on the spot in the river where it's narrow and it turns. And that's why there's still cannons and everything up there.
Mm-hmm.
And to, like he was saying, the founding fathers and what we had is nothing like it is now. But our founding fathers, even like studying, there was a guy from Massachusetts. The first time they tried to put tax on property tax, people took up their guns and were ready to march on Washington. That's what our founding fathers, that's what our ancestors, they fought. Like he said, fight for your rights and for what you believe in. And now nobody, wants to fight for any of that stuff. Now it's all about accepting every viewpoint. You want to have, your face tattooed, gay, whatever it is, just accept it. Where back in the day, it's like you fought. You were willing to die for what you believe in. And our founding fathers and people were like that. And we still have that in us.
We do, and I do, and yeah, I mean, certainly I've got a lot to say about it. But again, because of this controlled mainstream media, this mind-controlled propaganda that has been put on folks, it's better. It's like Nixon said it best. I think he said the people don't believe anything unless they see it on TV or in the movies, right?
Yeah.
So
nowadays, yep.
It's true. So looking back in history, let's look at Network, a couple of little clips in Network. And
love it. One of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's probably the best one would be the We're in a Lot. Well, there's a couple. I want to show.
There's a lot of good ones.
There's a lot of good ones. But the idea is, forget about the mad as hell at the end. But the idea of like
telling the truth
to the people and getting
the people not getting it,
and people not getting it, but the message getting out. So what I'm doing here, and I guess again, a lot of these things really hold true. And I played Network clips before, but never live like this. I'm so happy I have the ability.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Network "We're in a Lot of Trouble" clip. Now, what that did was that resulted in the next clip that I'll play, which is Howard Beale versus the New World Order with Ned Beatty, the big salesman.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Because that's the result. That's the result of him going against the forces of nature. So my point is that it's just saying you can't do this, and then we will attack you and kill you and eat you and spit you out. And that's what they do to folks, unfortunately.
And this is a movie from the 70s, right?
It was 1976. It was produced by I think 20th Century Fox, if I go into recollection. I know that Peter Finch won an Academy Award, but he died. He had a heart attack and died, and his wife actually got the Oscar for him. He picked it up for him, and it was written by Paddy Chayefsky. So it's a very awake film. It's a satire, a satirical look with a lot of truth in it. There's a scene in the movie where it's like they're putting shows together, like the Black Panthers, like blowing up stuff. I mean, it's a TV show. They bring it to this surreal level, but unfortunately, have we not seen things brought to this surreal level today? Maybe I'll show a couple of scenes from that. It's a good film. You could really. We could spend a good. Absolutely, we could spend. Man, why not? I didn't plan on showing Network, but it gives an example as to how things have changed to the way that they were seeing them to change, and it's not because they were, like good at, I don't know, forecasting this. It's because this is how the programmers are the filmmakers. The subject matter that gets produced, it fits an agenda. That's why it's so difficult to get things produced, because you have to know and fit into the confines of a certain type for each genre. It has to say a certain thing, do a certain thing, and if you have certain messages that happen to be in there, oh boy, you'll be someone that'll rise up high. It's just a fact. James Cameron. I hate James Cameron. I mean, again, I keep talking about this. I went on air with this whole thing before. Barbara Hartwell, a good friend, Barbara Hartwell, was offered a lot of money to tell her story back in I guess it was in 1998 or 1999, about what happened to her and all the things that happened in her life.
Wow.
Things that I still don't know. She's told me many things, but I don't know everything, but I know this, and this is truth. And she declined because of various reasons, and they fictionalized the account to include just about everything. And they created a TV series, and James Cameron created the TV series.
What was the name?
Dark Angel.
Really?
Yeah, with Jessica Alba.
Yeah, I remember that.
Jessica Alba was Barbara
angel.
Hartwell.
Wow, really?
Because Barbara Hartwell's name was Blue Rose. She had a couple of things that she had, monikers that she had code names that she had went by. This is on record. I'm not saying anything but I'm confirming things that are actually accurate. Because there's so much disinformation out there, and if anybody attacks Barbara Hartwell, you got a problem with me. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So she is a true patriot,
it's great all the people we've gotten to meet doing this.
It's unbelievable. It's the biggest blessing on earth. It's truth, here. Man. It's truth, brother. It's just we're the real. See, truth is magnetic, man. Mm-hmm. These people are all attacked. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just.
It's true.
Just sitting here reflecting on everything.
It's tearing up too, man. It's amazing. All the people we've seen that we've learned and became friends with.
From Roger
many
to
people,
Barbara to
lots of people,
Horowitz and them.
Understanding things that we didn't necessarily want to understand too. I mean, that's that's a truth. I mean, again, we're not doing this to for an agenda. It's just that when you learn certain things, oh my God, how do you not address them? And it makes you, and then you get attacked because you say, oh, you're attacking somebody. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to attack anybody, but God, you find things out like Anthony Hilder and other things. I'm digressing, but Alex Jones, you got to keep mentioning it because now I understand that there's a quote. And again, I'll go back to Barbara Hartwell, who, by the way, when I went to visit her recently and she gave me this present, and I'll try to get it on camera. And it's artwork that she does. She lives by the ocean. Nice. And it's really, really very nice. And I really love Barbara Hartwell. And anyway, I wanted to use I don't know it verbatim. I wouldn't want to ruin it. But she's the first person that showed me this, and it's very true. And it's a biblical quote, and the quote says, "Do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but instead expose them." So when you find something that is disinformation, when you find out what Cointelpro is, when you find out who the problem is, and you find out what's really going on, you need to expose it. And you can't worry about it. You just do it. And unfortunately, and we have all had a great cost at this. She's many, and others, and many people. Sherry Kane, too, and Horowitz. But then they fight back. Yeah. So that's good. And now I'm fighting back with them. I joined in on the lawsuit. Very happy. We're just another spear in the fire. And then Sherry sent me an email, and she said that now the Cointelpro are out there calling us a Hurricane Nema. That's the new thing. So I think that's pretty actually cool. And actually,
that is a cool name.
I talked to Jim Russell today for We Are Change Connecticut.
Really?
We had a meeting today.
What did he say?
He said that we should I should call them up and do a show, and we should call it Hurricane Nema. Hurricane Nema, and do it like a show. And I said, well, who the hell knows? But it would be his idea. Again, it's just there's a lot of stuff that's going on. People don't understand. And then what they do show you, that they tell you that they're saying is like the truth, isn't really all the truth. And 99% of the truth is a lie. And holding back information that or having an agenda is just like lying or being worse, being part of the problem. So I refuse to submit to anybody saying that I'm attacking people, because all I'm doing is exposing dark deeds. I don't attack people. I'll attack you for being a shill, a liar.
I can speak personally myself too. I've gotten attacked with emails and through certain people for being friends with Horowitz and Kane.
Absolutely.
But I have no problem. I'm called Vinny Bdatruth because I just say the truth. I'm not Vinny B always right, Vinny B perfect. I just say the truth. And Horowitz and Kane, I really like them. They're good people that have always answered everything, and they just always seem genuine to me, and I consider them like friends. and that's why I'll defend them. Like you were talking about Barbara, like you
Oh yeah,
love her,
exactly.
and you'll defend.
No, we
Horowitz
all
and Kane,
defend
I will
ourselves.
defend
We have to
because-
defend each other because they're attacking us all. Actually, Vinny.
I could, yeah, and you know, just because we're defending our friends, like, you know, they want to make it like, you know, we work for them. I haven't made $1 in like 8 months.
No.
So please, someone pay me. If anybody wants to give me money, I'll take it. But nobody's paying me. Nobody's paying Howard.
No,
Horowitz and them ain't paying us.
We're not Cointelpro agents. We're not paid Cointelpro criminals.
Please.
We're not
let me
people
know,
that
'cause I
sold
haven't
out
gotten
our
a check.
country.
It's
We're not people that are blinding the sending out false messages with like people that are attacked trolls like Michelle Wolven or Timothy Patrick White or any of these Cointelpro shills, Anthony Schilder, all these people. No.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to get the real information out. But you know something? Even the mainstream media, and like I said, this movie network gives out a lot of truth. But if they knew, see, the elite was smart enough to know, and they love this, by the way. A movie like Network in 1976, the elite were like, these useless eaters will have no idea that it's really true.
And it's funny because
it's so much worse than they even think. The food is not fit to eat. You really think so? The water's not fit to drink.
My parents and my uncles grew up
The
with this
drugs.
movie.
I'm sorry.
And I'll ask, like,
they don't know. They don't
and I'll
get
say,
it.
and all they remember is, oh, that's the yelling out the window. I'm mad as hell. Like, that's all they remember.
Yeah, they don't get the context of it.
Yeah.
They don't get the concept of it, Vinny.
Yes.
Which is
So
what's
that's
so
why
important.
the elite, like you said, laugh.
They were like,
they
I
put
love
this
it.
stuff out
Look,
there.
they're such fools. They'll just think it's a movie.
Yeah.
We can shove it in their faces.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
It's like when they pay for their own demise with the chemotherapy and the tamoxifen. I love it. It makes it go away, but then it comes back. Oh, it's hysterical. Oh, excuse me. I think I must listen to Howard Beale say that we're in a lot of trouble. Oh, they're gonna give me a video commercial? Shoot the deer, no! The animal activists will go after us!
Here's my boy.
Edward George Ruddy died today. Edward George Ruddy was the chairman of the board of